It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. It's a way to open. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Baseball Talk. Powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. You know, if you've noticed, I do not have my .com Game 7 hat on, much to the chagrin of the gentleman to my right. But
Can't believe I'm doing this.
he is a Padres fan, and I'm this guy. If he showed up here and he's wearing a Padres shirt, that's cool with me. I don't care.
It's not cool with me.
I always think that people should follow their team. If you like them, don't give people, you can tell them, I think they suck, but you respect the person,
you can follow any team you want.
Respect the fandom, right?
Except for the Dodgers.
Except for the Dodgers. I feel that way about the Yankees, personally. I do not do pinstripes. I would never put a team in pinstripes. That is the evil empire. Are the Dodgers now the evil?
Yeah.
Yes. What are you talking about?
I don't care about the Yankees at all. I haven't won anything in like almost 20 years now. It's the team in LA.
Oh, mercy. It was fun last year because
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Well,
winning is fun.
Not just that. It was. There's a lot of memories. Honestly, that's the first time I really watched baseball at a level that I could remember. I mean, I remember the Big Red Machine here and there, as a kid and whatnot, and talking about them. But in '77, Reggie Jackson crushing bombs, beating up on the Dodgers. Then again in '78, it was just like, that's what I grew up on. So you understand the intensity of that dislike.
I don't feel bad for you.
I know you don't, and that's okay. And but it wasn't until '81 that the Dodgers finally beat them. And oh my gosh, that was terrible, man. It was quite a run. And but that's baseball, right?
Yep.
It's baseball.
Winners.
You're a Cardinal fan, I take it?
I'm a Cardinal fan, yeah.
See, there's that.
I'm a big Cardinal fan.
I like the Cardinals. I like to watch the Cardinals play. I like to watch baseball. I like to watch the Cardinals play baseball. It's one of the better franchises around. As far as I hope they still will be. I
do too. It's
tough stretch here.
It's tough stretch. He's right. That's being nice.
It is being nice. I mean, I think they're playing a little above their pay grade.
Oh, yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, I didn't expect them to do this well.
Yeah, I didn't either. I keep looking at the stands and going, well, okay, there's a chance.
5 out.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
They got the Padres for 4 this weekend.
Ooh.
It's a big one.
You going to go?
Got a tournament.
I
went last year.
You will be working.
I went last year. The Padres lost both games, shockingly. Mm-hmm. One of them was a walk-off. There was like 10 people in the stands, and it was 115 degrees. So just like it will be this weekend.
Yeah. Nice and hot. Yeah, speaking of tournaments, Youth Baseball Midwest will be heading to Sedalia as soon as we're done recording right here. We're heading to the Missouri American Legion Baseball 19U State Championship Tournament. Got some good teams. I saw Gavin Williams, the kid from St. Elizabeth, pitch the other day.
Central Missouri.
He is for real.
Yeah, big
I
arm.
like that kid a lot.
Yeah.
He throws strikes.
Yeah.
It's amazing what happens when you throw strikes. And Moberly is back in it. A lot of those kids, they got a lot of young guys, but Mitchell Bruce is going to Crowder, is going to be there. Jackson Engel, K-Bomb, all Moberly area. They got a kid going to Mineral area. I'm trying to remember all the names, but Kirkwood from here, post 156, first time they've been in the state championship in like 20 years, I think it is. So good for them. Big shout out to Chris Copeland, who's pushing and working hard. Bring that club back. Festus is going to go back. They're just a juggernaut in American Legion Baseball. Festus been doing it for a long time.
Oh, a long time. They were good back when I was playing.
Right?
Yeah.
And Zach Bone, he was coaching there. Alex Casena. He's from the state of Washington, but played at, I think he had a little bit of time in the minors, coaching that team now. They got some good dudes. They're always there. They were the last team from Missouri to play in the World Series. And it wasn't that long ago. It was in 2019.
Huh. So
Festus will be there. We've got Sedalia, of course, the Travelers. Connor Spinagle does a great job with that group. Who am I missing, Drew? Oh, gosh. Mule Club, new one. The Mule Club out of Warrensburg.
Yeah.
Yep. Eli Anderson, Charlie Morgan. Because I mentioned Gavin Williams. It's Jeff City. They're loaded. Fatima kids, Helias, St. Elizabeth. They got 3 St. Elizabeth kids. That Jeff City squad, it's made up of basically 3 different groups of all state champions.
Yeah.
Of class 1, 2, 3. I mean, and they are really good. It's really good baseball. But I was getting back to, where did I say, where was I?
Mule Club.
Mule Club. That's it.
Warrensburg.
Warrensburg. That's it. They're young. They've got a lot of kids that'll be back. So it'll be interesting. We're looking forward to it. Should be a good one. I appreciate Kyle Zimmerman, the head coach at Smith Cotton, and Coach Boyer from Moberly High School will be joining us on the call. So
Nice.
Appreciate them coming over and working with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in. Tomorrow we start with our road to Sedalia. Then we got 2 games, 5 and 8. Friday the same, and Saturday all day. Sunday championship. Look forward to it. Folks, I want to introduce, I know we've been just chatting. Of course, the gentleman to my right, Diego Solares. Diego, good to see you, buddy.
Legend.
How we doing?
The legend.
I would not go that far.
That was quick.
No, I would not go that far. I'm just happy to be here. Everywhere I go, I'm happy to be there.
And to my left, met this gentleman at the Game 7 Baseball World Series. He had his team there. This is the head coach at Father McGivney High School, Chris Erwin.
Thanks for having me. No, I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you taking the time. We got a chance to chat. I probably talked more than I always do. I always talk more than I should. I'm passionate about a lot of these things, and this is one of the reasons why we do this podcast. And we want to talk, playing high school baseball. We were having a chat off air, before we started. We're talking about major leagues, and Diego and I are talking about, throwing 98 and dudes being scared to get hit by 98, even in the major leagues. And I think that's real. But, high school baseball is not played at 98 miles an hour. It's just not. And I think that's an interesting take. But before we get into some of these things and how we build to that, I want to ask you, Chris, do you think that high school baseball is better today than it was when you played?
I think that's a great question and a great debate. And if I had to really think about that, I'd say that the top end players are better than we were. They have more technology, more abilities. There's a lot more facilities for them to practice and get better and hone their craft. There's a lot more with video technology than back in the day. I think the low end players are not as good. I think that there's a lot more, most of us back in the day played multiple sports. So there wasn't an attention to detail at a 1 or 2 sport in high school.
Yeah.
You're playing all 3 sports. A lot of us did. And so you're in and out of season so quickly that you're focusing on the season when you're in the season. And then the summer was always baseball, right? So you really have 2 seasons for baseball. And then the other 2, you're playing, football, soccer, or basketball, wrestling. That was big back in the day when I didn't wrestle, but those were all the competing sports. But if you told me that I would have been able to have an indoor hitting facility to go to, I don't know that I would have played basketball. I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed playing. My grandfather was a big basketball player, and he loved watching me. I wasn't very good at the sport, but it's what you did because, you didn't have anything else to do, and I wasn't going to sit around and do nothing. So I think that plays a big part of the decision making today when kids go into it. So I think that the high end players are better. You still have the anomalies that came out during my era, your guys' era, that good player's a good player in any era, but I think collectively that they're throwing harder, their skills are better, and then you have the group that is filling out the high school team that maybe not be as good because they don't play it enough. They're not playing summer baseball. They're not playing, Legion baseball. They're not playing select baseball, whatever it may be. So I don't know and nobody's, well, I shouldn't say nobody. There's a lot of people that aren't watching baseball. So when you don't watch baseball, you're not understanding the intricacies of the game and what to do. I've seen a lot of bad base running just because guys are not watching the game. They're not understanding the differences of the game. And I also think that's how high school teams can separate themselves, or a part of what they can separate in the game today is taking advantage of understanding the game better than maybe your opponent can. So the high-end players, to answer the question, high-end players, I think they're better. I think collectively the teams maybe not as, collectively as good, but the high-end players certainly are.
Yeah, I don't have a comparison, obviously, for when you played. Or
the old joke comes out.
I'm more of like I grew up playing in the era that we're in right now, right?
Right.
I'm 25. I'm not the old. Like I still kind of built in. I honestly didn't even mean for that to be an old joke, but
It's half my age.
the one thing I will agree with is I think like when you say better, like. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Are they more talented?
I agree.
Are they more
so.
talented? I would say they're more talented. Yeah, there's probably...
I don't know that... That's a great point. I don't know if more talented.
When I say talented, I would say there is a larger collection of players now than there were, quote unquote, back in the day that have louder, raw tools. Guys that have more arm strength, guys that run faster, they're bigger, they're more physical at 16, 17, 18 than they probably were when you guys were around. But are they better? Because I watch a lot of baseball, and there's a lot of dudes that, like you said, don't run the bases. There's a lot of bad base running that don't know where to be in the right spot. Pitchers that don't back up bases or cover first base on a ground ball to the right side. First basemen that don't trail runners when they go to second base. Mm-hmm. First baseman that when a guy hits a double and it's a surefire double, the guy's not turning around and watching and making sure he hits the bag. I haven't seen that one time this entire summer. Double cuts. The catcher saying cut the ball off, just like small things that you probably get.
The pitcher being the cut man.
Yeah, the pitcher when it's a no doubt gap shot and he's standing there and the throw's going to the plate and instead of backing up home, the pitcher cuts it off. That drives me nuts. But like the things that you get from actually watching the game and focusing on those things, I don't think those get stressed enough now because don't get me wrong, there are programs, whether it's travel or Legion or high school, that do focus on it because I've been around that. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot of individualization going on right now from a training standpoint. And you'll see it and again, the importance of summer ball and club ball and travel ball, we can talk about that for 3 hours. Like, does it really matter if you win a tournament? Does it really matter if you guys go 1 for 3 in a tournament? But there's 50 college coaches there and all the players are getting recruited, right? Because how much does a college coach care about your ex-travel team winning the Scout Connect St. Louis Cup tournament, right? But there's a lot, like I have seen a lot of teams that are crazy talented, like 1 through 11, 1 through 12, 1 through 13. Man, there's some really good baseball players and they don't win anything. And why is that? Likely because we're not stressing the importance of winning. We're stressing a lot of individualization. And whether that's right or wrong, like we could debate that for hours, but that's kind of my view on it as someone that's around it and watches a lot of baseball.
I like the point you made, better. What makes something better?
Sure.
Because I think that because of the development processes that we have today, like you said, there wasn't a place to go hit.
No.
And it was cold outside. Yeah. So you went in the gym and played basketball.
Yeah.
And to where you grew up in a different era where there was a place to go and do that. And so, I can see, I understand your point to that because just in the fact that they can develop those tools better in today's game. Not necessarily that they couldn't have then, but they just didn't.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Like it's not like just because there are technological things and things that we found out, but it's not just because we're 20 years later that we have some magic potion. Like, to be honest with you, a lot of the times when you talk about developing velocity, it's just an emphasis on the weight room.
Right.
Like how much, even when I was playing 7, 8, 9 years ago in high school, we didn't lift. We lifted like push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, stuff like that. Now you got these dudes doing like all these super minute workouts that are hyper-focused on this muscle to do this and keep you healthy. And it's just more like that information is more readily available than it was 20 years ago. And you have the people now and the resources and the facilities to implement it. But it's not like the actual baseball things are different. Like if you're talking about growing velocity, a lot of it is, yeah, man, you just got to eat and lift more. And I don't know that pitchers back in the day were dumbbell benching 130 by 6, because I didn't do that. We didn't do any of that. we lifted like football players, or it was just body weight stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's, the other part of it is the technology of kids understanding. I didn't know what a kid in California was doing. I didn't know what a kid in Florida was doing when I played. We didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm not really that old.
Right.
But, I mean, apparently I'm old, but I'm not that old. But no, but I think guys can compare. You were just comparing yourself to the other players in the area.
Yeah.
So if, and your talent level, if somebody's better than me, I'm trying to get better than him, and that guy may be 2 towns over. Now guys are trying to, really measure themselves against some kid out of Indianapolis or some kid out of Atlanta or some kid out of, and you see some different workouts that are out there and what guys are doing. And now they're comparing themselves to the national perspective, which is really the college and professional game way back in the day. You could see, what these guys were doing collegiately. But then again, in college, you saw guys, the team was made up of kids from that state, right? U of I is made up from kids from Illinois. Texas made up from kids from Texas. You didn't really get this burst of national recruiting. I should say you did get this burst of national recruiting for some of these schools. Now you always had what I always consider, this is maybe more football related, but you have your Stanfords and your Notre Dames that were always recruiting nationally, right? Because of the recognition. Again, that's way back in the day. I'm not talking about now, but now, you'll get a kid that gets recruited from Illinois that goes all over the place, right? And you just didn't see that back in the day. And so I think this comparison, this social media has helped with kids understanding that there's always somebody bigger, there's always somebody stronger, there's always somebody faster, where before it was just, is anybody stronger in my zip code, right? And that was really all that they were focused on. If you are, unfortunately, they may have stopped training harder because they already knew they were the best guy in the zip code. And I don't know that was great for the game back in the day.
Yeah, it's also like now the amount of information that's available. Like really, if you're a 16-year-old kid and you're trying to gain velo or increase your bat speed or something, like you could just go on YouTube and type, how do I gain 10 miles per hour on my fastball? And you could probably watch like an hour, 2 hours worth of YouTube videos about how to lift, how to eat, how to track your lifts, how to track what you're eating. Do this lift on this day. Here's a 30-day program on how to work out. Now, does that stuff work? Or like, I don't know, but the spread of information, or like if you're a pitcher that's trying to tinker with a curveball grip, you could YouTube baseball pitching grips, and here's 50 big leaguers going through, here's how I hold my slider, here's my cue. You could go to Pitching Ninja and do this and do that. Like there's so much information that I didn't even have that. I never YouTubed until I got to college. I watched a ton of Trevor Bauer stuff because he was the only one doing it at the time. With like pitching reference and change ups and hey, do this with your this and whatever. But like all the information that the players nowadays have, like really if you're not molding yourself into the player you want to be, it's kind of on you at this point. Now genetics plays a factor, whatever, but
always
there's so much out there.
And you guys, the YouTube video and watching those things and the amount of information that comes around. We just talked about, why isn't baseball in one respect better? Because we see these things. And I think this is the trouble this is to me what's troubling. And you can, as we talk about, is it better today, high school baseball? Because we have all this information, and I think sometimes it's too much.
For sure.
And as a 15-year-old kid, and you coach a lot of kids, you see a lot of kids, how many of them can take that information and disseminate it in an applicable way for themselves to get better, utilizing it, application of knowledge? My dad helped me with this many years ago. He's been a minister for a long time. It's a matter of my life and who I am as a person. And a simple equation, and you can find it in most flight manuals. It's called power plus attitude equals performance. Power, everybody, we know we equate that to knowledge, right? So you have knowledge, but can you use the knowledge? Any knowledge that cannot be used is useless. The application of what you know has to be the tangible thought process. And I think that's where we get lost in all the information.
Yeah, I think a reason why like that method that I just mentioned of like a 16-year-old going on YouTube and finding it may not work is that, right? Like you have all this data, you have all this information, like what do you do with it? That's why the P3s, the MPLs, the clubs of the world are so beneficial to the success of the player, is because they have people that can take all this information and make it really, really dumbed down. Honestly, like from a pitching standpoint, and I always reference pitching because I'm a pitching guy, like whatever. For me, hitting, like hit ball hard, cool. Don't strike out. Like that's what it is. But like we have all this information with the pitching side, like the TrackMan data, the Rapsodo data, how much the spin on the ball, the access of the ball, like, and all these dudes can take all this information, like these pitching guys, and make it super simple to where it's like, hey man, just take your fingers and instead of holding the ball like this, turn it that way and see what happens. And then, oh my God, this subtle change from this to that goes from a bad slider to really good, right? And all you had to do was move your fingers this way.
You got a 10-degree tilt.
Or hey, all your pressure points are like right here. Let's just put a little bit more. And now we go from a flat fastball to a sinker. It's really good, right? And they get that information from all these numbers, and they're able to take all these numbers that look like a math equation and make it to this, to that. And that's why those guys are so good, because you could have all the information in the world.
If you don't know how to apply.
Right. And let's just be honest, most 15, 16, and 17-year-olds, they're
very few kids can take that information and bring it in and turn it how your body feels, those types of things, to that point. Well, let me try this. There's kids that just don't know how to think that way.
No, and they can't see themselves doing it, right?
Sure. Right.
So they can get up there and they can do the home remedy of I'm going to work on this X, Y, and Z, but they can't see themselves, and I think that's or they can't break it down in the frame that they need. At the release point, are we still staying with here? Or have we moved back because our muscle memory is telling us we may grip it that way, but we end up in the same spot when we release it, right? So those types of technologies that allows them to see what we're doing is really unlocked, I think, a really cool part of the game that we never knew before. We kind of probably assume some of it because we know the game, but can you slow it down slow it down enough where the kid can digest it? And then can you replicate it where you get it in full speed motion and you can get the kid to do what we want them to do?
And now you have to do it in a game,
right?
In a pressure situation.
Application.
Yeah. Like that's where the stuff gets even more amplified, right? Like I have seen so many guys work on things in bullpen. Like Ben Hernandez was a guy, Super 60 guy, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. The Royals took him in the second round. And the big knock on him, hey man, it was a big physical kid. Fastball was mid-90s. He had one of the best high school changeups I've ever seen. The biggest knock on him was couldn't spin a breaking ball. Like never. It wasn't even like it wasn't even like below average. Like he just couldn't. He had no feel to spin a breaking ball. Right. He went to the Super 60 and he was throwing his breaking ball in the bullpen, and it was hard. It was like low 80s probably. I don't remember, but watching it, I'm like, that's okay. Like it's a usable breaking ball if it's fastball change up, and then here's a get me over. You go in a game, no feel for it whatsoever. And that's what, in my opinion, he had Tommy John and whatever, like high school arms are risky from the draft standpoint, but he has not really ever taken a step in pro ball. And here's a guy in high school that, like, you watch him pitch, it's like, that's a big leaguer. Like, he's got the body, the velo's there, he has a plus secondary, and in a bullpen, the breaking ball was okay. And then when the game, like when the lights were on, I have to get dudes out. There's radar guns behind the stand. Some private school kid from Chicago is chirping at me over here. Like, I can't spin this breaking ball at all. And that's the part of it too, is like, how do you, that, like the application side of it for a teenager?
You know, that's a really good point, because I don't know that we spend enough time there, right? I really do. And we try, you know, when I say we as in our program, we try to spend as much time on the mental piece of it as we can. And I think that's a lot that's forgotten. You know, we just say, oh, go practice it, or go think about it, or go clear it out of your head.
Right.
And, you know, but we spend so much time on the technical details of every little thing. But to your point, you get in a game and you got all that other stuff going on, and some kids just flat out cannot handle it.
Like, how do you simulate it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
You can't.
can't. The only way you simulate it is by doing it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why, like, and if we tie it all back into high school baseball, like the teams in the area that have been really successful, it's because they early season put themselves in those environments. Like, I'll take Edwardsville because I live in Edwardsville. Like, every year they do the PBR Kickoff Classic, and Tim Funkhauser like puts the schedule together and everything. But like, if you look at who they play, it's always the teams from Chicago that are the best teams every year, because those games are going to be high atmosphere. Like, I remember watching them play Brother Rice at Edwardsville the year after they had played each other in the state championship. I think it was 2023.
Correct.
And that game, it was in March. The game, in the grand scheme of things, meant absolutely nothing. Like, at all.
But it did, didn't it?
That was a playoff game. Like, it was the opening game of the season for both
Right.
teams, and you could tell, like, they didn't like each other. There was chirping going on. Like, that is how you get better. You can't, the mental thing, you can stress it. You can teach techniques, how to slow yourself down, like the breathing techniques and all that stuff. But unless you're in that atmosphere, it's really hard to do. And some kids, they just crumble. And it is what it is. Like, I was that way. Like, I could not pitch in high leverage situations. I couldn't do it. Like, if you look at my numbers in college, they're very bad. Don't look at them. But in high leverage situations, when our team it was like a 1-run game, I probably had like a 15 ERA. And if I ever came into a game when we were down by 3 runs or up by 3 runs, I think I got everybody out. I couldn't do it. And that's just how it is.
You're right. And the same thing, I agree with you on Edwardsville. They put themselves in as good a scenario as possible to simulate something that's going to happen 3 months later.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to watch, because, you know, there's no way to simulate. You can talk about piping in music and trying to bring
not the same.
That's not the
same thing.
And
You need some fan yelling at your players, telling them all these things.
Well,
yeah.
And I think this goes to, especially in high school, the other part of that attitude, because if application, how do you apply everything, your knowledge and whatnot, in a setting that is very hostile towards you having success? And I think part of I have a problem with some of this in the way things have gone very negative.
Sure.
And I don't like it. Never have. I think you can chirp and, you know, listen, I've been on a basketball court in my day, and it's not pretty. It's not pleasant. And if you shy away from those things, you will get beat up hot, quick, and in a hurry. And, I mean, I understand trash talking and all those types of things, but I think we could clean that up a bit.
Oh.
But
Oh.
on the other end of that, we'll leave that for another time. But I want to come back to the attitude. See, that goes to the individual. How confident are you in yourself and your own abilities? And at some point, each player realizes, I've peaked. You can say what you want to, but we all know inside what we're capable of. This is where I'm at. I don't think I can get that guy out. And once that is there, all the rest of the stuff, that's when it becomes real. I can't get this guy out, or I can't hit this guy. I can't do that. I can't. And your attitude changes, and then all the pressure of those things begin to seep in. And I think that's just where it's at. What is your level and your ability? And at some point, we all just peak in our abilities.
It flips on the other side of that too, right?
Yes.
I mean, absolutely. I've seen guys that should not be able to get guys out. That routinely get guys out because they believe in their stuff so much, and they believe in either the system that they're in or what they're doing on the mound or at the plate. And it shouldn't happen. You're watching it and you're going, this should not happen.
I cannot believe this.
Right.
What's going on?
And the kid's confidence level is through the roof.
And he believes in his guys behind him.
Yes. And especially from a pitching standpoint.
Yes.
You know, this guy knows that our shortstop and second baseman are going to field everything. Here you go. Hit it. We're going to field it. And then all of a sudden now you can start expanding and nibbling and do things because your confidence level is so high that I don't care if they hit the ball. We're going to field it. It's a pretty special place to be, right?
Right.
And then you fall off that cliff real quick.
Yeah.
And then everything, all the doubt and everything else, you know, I've seen guys that have great stuff that pitch really good and have a great defense. And the first time a guy makes an error, it's like, oh no, we got to get him out. Like, this is going to be a disaster. Wow, you can't get to the pin fast enough. It's like, get me out of here.
There has not been a player on the Illinois side that has come through our area that has gone on to have success collegiately or at a professional level that has lacked any of what he just said. Like all the guys that have come through here that are dudes, it's because they have that mentality. Like, you have to have it. You really do. And honestly, like, I think it's an underrated aspect of college recruitment. I haven't talked to very many and they're worried about different things, right? But I haven't talked to very many college coaches that have asked me, like, is he a dog? Like, does he have that?
Right. And that's code for confidence.
What's it like mentally?
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, can he play the game? And I get it. You have to be able to play the game, right? Like, if you're the most confident person in the world, but you can't play, whatever. But there have been a lot of guys that I can think of that pop in my head right now that have gotten the most of their ability because they think they're the best player in the world when they play baseball. And if you have that to me, you can be a really good baseball player if you have that and you're a 7'5" runner and you don't have a huge arm and you don't bang balls in the gap or throw 94 miles an hour, but you might think you're that good.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way.
A long way.
It goes a long way.
And I would love that. I think that was, you go back to the conversations of what college coaches were looking for. I feel like we've gotten away from that.
For sure.
Where they're now looking for, okay, is he 220 or heavier? Is he 6'2" or 6'3"? How long are his arms? How big are his hands? I'm like, are we at a football combine now?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, can he win?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Can he win? When the game's on the line, can he? And this is the dumbest thing in the world for most, but not for me, right? Can he hit a 25 hopper to second base to score the run from third?
Yeah.
We have rounds of BP. We call them pepper, and we go through it, and we do it every single day. And so I want to know, can my guy hit a 25 hopper to second base to score the run from third? Because if he can't, I got to hope he hits a home run, because that's a whole lot harder than grounding out to second.
Give me a productive out,
Right?
please.
Just give me an out.
Yeah. And that's where, like, we come back to, like, the whole era we live in, right? Like, what are we trying to do?
Yeah.
Your perspective as a high school guy or someone's perspective as a college coach at X school is going to be way different than the guy that coaches the summer ball team.
I liken it to this, and I go back to this example because it was an epiphany for me, coaching 9-year-olds. How does a kid who fields everything in practice then get out in a game, even at 9 years old, and can't field anything? And you're like, his hands are good. Everything works. Everything, you see the movement, good footwork. Even at 9, you can see certain things and patterns that move, and you're like, there's no reason for this young man not to be able to field a ground ball, even in a game. And it dawned on me right there what confidence really is and an understanding of this, because we would play, and so I started playing knockout. And you play knockout, and these kids are rolling. They're fielding everything, and I would stop. We'd go through 3 rounds. Everybody fielded it. I would stop and go, okay, how many of you guys made an error in the last game? Raise your hands. I said, you just fielded everything here. What's the difference? And it's like, I don't know, Coach. What are you asking?
Who's having fun?
What are you asking me for? You're the coach. And it really did. And it's like I said, guys, the difference is the baseball is coming to you. And that was a light bulb.
Yep.
How do you get a player to understand during a game that each and every pitch is going to be hit to me and be prepared mentally to field a baseball? The amount of focus that it takes at the major league level, and then you trickle that down all the way, even at the high school level, when you start playing high-level high school baseball, the amount of focus and intent that it takes to have that mindset every single pitch so that you're confident when you see the baseball and whatnot. And that's when it dawned on me how hard the game really is.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You've seen those guys that are big time players in big games only.
Yeah.
Right? And it's because you're playing, a different team on a Tuesday, and it's not the big rival that's coming on a Saturday, and the pitcher is not even close to the same guy you're going to see on Saturday. And the Tuesday game is bad, right? And you're like, what is going on, right?
Yeah.
But the Saturday game against the team that beats this team by 35 runs, right? You win that game. And you everything is crisp and everything is sharp and everything is good. And you have that conversation, but it's all up here.
Yes.
Right? Nothing has to do with the talent level of what you have versus what you're playing. It's all the mental game of you can't take an at-bat off. Right. If you want, because A, you don't know who's around, B, right? Or you don't know who's around and at the park. But B, you can't do that at a collegiate level for these guys that move on. You're not going to get that guy on a Tuesday that is throwing 72 miles an hour. Yeah. You're not.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare your mind to not take a pitch off?
Right.
And especially in today's world with, instant cocoa everything, right? I mean, it's I got something to do, or I can pick this up and I got something going on now.
Right.
Can you focus for 5 minutes and not have something in front of you? And the ability for some kids to do that is not very high.
Right.
And it's hard to try to navigate that when you're, I don't remember one. Well, of course it wasn't around, but think about just 10 years ago, or when I first started coaching, I never had to say, "Hey guys, put your phones down at practice and let's go do this."
I get guys that like I'm at tournaments and I'm tweeting players out, and like they like the tweet in the middle
during the game,
in the middle of the game. And I don't know, like, I'm like, okay, one of two things. Either your dad runs your Twitter, which I'm out on,
Right.
or you're in the dugout and you saw the notification and you decided I need to drop a like on this right now. Either one of those two things, we're both in a bad spot. If that's where we're at.
We're both.
We are in a bad spot.
It's awesome. But it's so true.
Yeah.
You can
It
tell
happens
it
all
when
the
it
time.
happens.
It's like, dude, I'm watching you. I just watched you in here.
It's almost like you want to look out his shirt and he's going,
What? Like, what are you doing?
selfie time.
What are you doing?
What is going on?
We can't wait 2 hours, man.
Oh my God.
Dude, you don't need to be checking your phone right now.
We can't wait 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 45 time limit.
Right. We're making it really easy for you. We never play 7 innings anymore.
No,
It's
never.
like-
I know.
It's very simple.
oh my God.
And I mean, I love this subject because of these things. And I think, how do we and you're coach. I met you. You're coaching your son's 14U team, correct?
Yeah, I help out with his team.
You
right?
just
Yeah.
help out,
Yeah.
right? And so you're seeing from all these sides, and I think it's tough because we spent a lot. I'm going to skip down to this because I think this has more to do with it when you're talking about the athletes and you're talking about 8U. Youth baseball to me, and that's why we call it Youth Baseball Midwest. I don't separate youth baseball and high school baseball. To me, it's all youth baseball because a 17-year-old kid is still. I know I was a youth when I was 17.
Yeah. Oh no, you're 100% right.
And so I look at it from elementary to middle school to high school. Those three components are what makes up youth baseball. You get to collegiate, and that's one of the things Kevin Mulder always said. He said it's why they call high school baseball is boys high school baseball and college is men's collegiate baseball. Yeah. And I think there's some truth to that. You get the differentiation in those two things. But what you're talking about here is what do you see and what would you like to see? Do you think there's enough going on that's going to maybe swing that pendulum back to a little bit of balance?
Well, balance between the
selfies on the field.
Oh gosh.
Unfortunately.
No,
and getting back to, the because I do think, and to your point, Diego, I agree. I think there's a lot of great programs out there. I think there's a lot of guys trying, but I think it's still in that handful to large. We have a lot of dads coaching, which people go, oh, daddy ball. Shut up. And I will say that just like that.
Yeah.
We need dad coaches. We just need to help them.
Yeah, I think that's so yes. Do I think it's going to change? No, I don't think we're in an era where it's going to, nothing's going to change with this. It's only going to get worse from a phone perspective and a social perspective, and the attention levels perspective of, we try to do things in shorter spurts, even at the high school level. I mean, when I was a college coach, we would go way longer. I mean, from a practice standpoint, because there wasn't something they were running back to. It was an empty dorm room with maybe a TV, those types of things, where now
was it MLB The Show?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't even, hey, you're going to laugh now, right? Baseball Tonight, I didn't even knew existed until I was in college because I didn't have cable when I grew up.
Right.
Like I grew up in a non-cable household. We had 4 channels. So TV was not that big a deal. It was more going out and, I know I sound like I'm 100 years old, right? But playing tennis wall ball, right? With throwing it on the roof, doing things that were shorthand or quick hand stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Whether we knew we were doing it to train for baseball or not, it was better than sitting in front of the TV and watching nothing on there, right? Baseball Tonight, I didn't know it until I was on my first college trip, and I'm like, holy cow, I didn't know there's a whole channel dedicated to baseball. And then I became addicted, but that's what happens now. Right. I became addicted to watching baseball because I couldn't get enough of it as a kid, and now I got this whole channel on Baseball Tonight, and I'm like, I'm glued to the TV, right, during that time frame because I loved it so much, and I didn't know anything more than, because I grew up in St. Louis, the Cardinals. I didn't know anything about the Dodgers, anything about the Padres. I knew nothing about them because there wasn't anything on TV. I could get some things with the Sox, some things with the Cubs. If I was at somebody's house. You saw the
logo and the scores on the 10 o'clock news, right?
Well, and I was a fanatic, right? So I would get the box scores in the paper, and I'm looking through, and every once in a while you got the leaderboards of Major League Baseball. Like, oh man, this guy's hitting this and this, and it got exciting. You can find that out in 2 seconds now on your phone.
Oh yeah.
And in today's era, you have to in my opinion, you got to practice in spurts and do different things to keep them so engaged, because otherwise the attention level, they lose it. They're trying to pick up their phone, and we got a no phone policy in certain areas and what we're doing. And then, so I don't think that's going away at all. Mm-hmm. I do agree with you. We need dads in baseball. My dad never coached me in baseball specifically on a team, but he was a very knowledgeable baseball guy. I mean, that's how I grew to love the game. We went to Cardinal games and sat in the stands and watched the game, and he would explain the game to me while I'm watching. I miss those times, right? Yeah. And the hard part is that everybody wants to complain about dads in baseball, right? But nobody wants to volunteer to help with the baseball. That's the funny part, right? It's easier to sit back in the stands and complain about what's going on than it is to actually take the time out of your day to go coach it. Nobody wants to do that. They just want to complain about the guy who is doing that.
Right.
Are there hard parts about that? Of course there are. With anything, there's hard parts about that. I know that there's pressure on high school coaches. I'm in a very fortunate scenario. I'm not a teacher at the school, right? I coach baseball at the school, and if they don't want me, they're going to get rid of me. So I play who the best kids are, and if they don't like it, they just get rid of me, and that's okay because I'm not defined by that. I love the game, and I'm very fortunate. I have a great administration, and I have a great group of guys, and I have a great group of parents. But it's also, we've won a lot of games recently, so I don't have a whole lot of issues because of that. If I didn't win so many games, I'm sure there'd be issues, and that's okay, But for me, we need those dads in baseball to teach the game, and we can't go all the way down to now having 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old teams that have a paid coach.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that would be where it's going, but are we there? Are we not there?
That's a good question.
There's a lot of money in that piece of it, and what are the expectations? And for whatever reason, sometimes we're tying the expectation to the money we're paying.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if that's the right thing.
I think it's completely unfair.
Yeah, I think that there's expenses that are tied to things that are real expenses. Sure. And these things are expensive. And so you're choosing whether you want to be a part of that experience, and it's going to cost, right? And then if you're not a part of it, what are the other options, and how can we, get better? And unfortunately, I've seen it, but it's extremely rare where I had a kid last year, and it's come through our program, that was never involved in select sports because their family couldn't afford it. Just flat out couldn't afford it. They had a farm and had to work on the farm. He was the exception, but I haven't seen where he's been very, very, very good. But I'm sure everybody has an example somewhere,
sure.
Right? He's not just the only anomaly.
It's an
right?
outlier.
But
right.
It's an outlier but I can tell you that most people don't know who the kid is, because he wasn't involved in the travel scene, right? He wasn't out there at these big tournaments. And so we're like, who's this kid? Right. And then they go watch him play. They're like, oh, who's this kid? And well, it's the same kid that we've had. It's just not involved. And there's guys out there like that, but it's very rare now.
Yeah. I say this, Diego's heard me say it. I believe this. You're not paying to play. If you truly are in the elementary, middle school, your thought process is you're paying for the development of your player, and you should have people around. If you're spending X amount of dollars for a season, and that includes the tournaments, whatever the case is your athlete getting better? And that's the thing. And are you listening, paying attention, watching that? I don't care if my son, and this is the other part of it, and it's hard, Okay, he played, 3 innings in this game. He played 5 in this one, 2 in this one, 3. But he's gotten better. We're not focusing on, and I think that's the dynamic personally that has to change.
That is, yes. I mean, that's another hour and a half worth of show, right?
Oh, we'll have you back.
But
Coach.
The funny part, it's who are we trying to please, right?
Right.
Because ultimately we're trying to develop, it's exactly what you just said. But the parents in the stands, they want to brag about the tournament they won.
Yeah, it's an ego
Yes.
thing.
Right? And
It's an ego thing.
Yeah, and so that's what they care about, is how many tournaments they win.
Mhm.
Not all of them. I'm not, I make people
Correct.
mad. I don't
It's
mean
a
that.
general,
But
I understand.
general ideas that they want to go talk about the tournaments they won. But the kids, the players themselves need to focus on getting better.
Yes.
Right. And developing their skill to play at whatever level they can play at, right? Or whatever level they want to play at. Everybody measures the record at the end by the success level of what you're doing. And it should not be that way. It can't be that way.
No,
I
agree.
view, as someone that's involved in the spring season with the high school and the runs tournaments in the summer, like I view them as like, in high school ball, you should care about winning. Like you care
Absolutely.
about winning in high
Yes.
school ball.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want your guys to get better. You want, Ben Sink and Isaac Wendler and those guys to develop and be great at Father McGivney. But at the end of the day, like, you're going to get measured on, did we win or
Yeah.
not, right?
Yeah.
And so is every high school coach.
That's his job.
That's his job, is to win
Yeah.
baseball games. In the summer, in my opinion, yes, you want to win, right? And there's a competitive nature to it. The players want to win.
Sure.
The clubs are competing against each other because Club 1 wants to say they beat Club 2 and Club 2 wants to say they beat Club 3. But if you are prioritizing winning in the summer, in my opinion, you're doing it wrong. You should be prioritizing the development factor of it. When you're younger, yes, you want to win, you want to build competitiveness, you want to build that culture, develop the 13, the 14, the 15U players. And then as you get older, it should be about, let's get in front of schools.
Yeah.
Like if that's what we're about, if that's what these guys want to do, they all want to play collegiately, great. Then what opportunities are we getting? What opportunities are maximizing our players' recruitment opportunities?
Yeah, sorry, that's exactly right. I mean, I think the collegiate level simulates from a high school perspective.
100%.
And the summer is not, because they're not going to school, they're not going to class, they're not practicing every day.
Nope.
They're not doing things that are team related or team bonding. So when I was a college coach, and I try to do that now as a high school coach, I think the college coach wants to see, did you win in high school? Because that it's very similar to what you're going now. A different level. I'm not comparing the talent level.
Sure.
I'm just comparing the day-to-day operations of a high school student and a high school student player and a college student player, right? They translate better from a standpoint of practicing every day, the same system, the same routine, the same stuff that you're doing. You got to pass, right? You got to do those things. Collegiately, from a summer perspective, you're dead on. Because if some coach comes up to me and I'm coaching the 17Us in your tournament this weekend, and I know that a coach is here to see a catcher catch, that guy's catching for me.
It has to be.
That guy's catching. I don't care if I have a better catcher.
Yeah.
That guy's catching for me that day, because that's the whole point of what he's doing in the summer. If we lose the game because I have the wrong guy catching, but he signs and plays in college because that's the guy he wants,
Success.
Yeah.
We just helped that young man out on what he was doing in the beginning. I didn't interrupt you.
When you have
that's good.
when you have that mindset in summer ball, you can't lose. In my opinion, you can't lose.
Yeah.
If you have the mindset of we got to play the same 9 dudes because we have to win every single game and win every single tournament, you're doing it wrong. I'm sorry.
understand. No,
It's
I
just
get
what
it.
it is.
I think because we have understanding what winning is as a mindset, having success, I believe this very much goes back to, equals your performance. Okay. If your performance is good, that doesn't guarantee that you will win the game. You want your performance to always be at its peak best. But that guy may have beat you today.
Yeah.
You tip your cap, you shake hands, and you continue to work. That's the nature of competitive sport. And I think somewhere along the line we've skewed that.
Yeah.
Instead of understanding that, I'm not always going to, I don't ever, there may be, the closest thing I ever saw was I was looking back, and it was 2016, and my son Justin was looking at schools, and he, Tampa popped up, Division II school. And he's looking at this, and we see the record, and it was like 55-2 or some ridiculous number like that. I'm like, who are these guys? I mean, I'd never heard of the University of Tampa, but I did there. And I was like, that's the closest thing I've ever seen to perfect in baseball. And because I don't know of anybody that's ever gone undefeated in baseball. I don't.
It happened this past year, actually.
Did it really?
Yeah.
OSU Eunice, they won the national. They were 57-0. First time ever.
Yeah.
There you go.
First time ever.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Because it's the nature of baseball just isn't that. The nature of sport.
It's not that.
No.
It
It's not
really
that.
isn't. And I think that's the tough thing that we've got to come back to a little bit in that respect and bring those perspectives back. What is winning? What does it mean? Because ultimately it does matter. That's
Sure.
why you play.
Well, and a college coach doesn't want to see you not care on the field, right?
Yeah,
It's-
or recruit a bunch of guys that just lose all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how that works.
That's a really good point, right? I always wondered that from as a high school coach.
Yeah.
I watch some of these guys that go some
Culture.
places, and I'm like, man, in my head, now I'm not the college coach, I'm not the guy recruiting that guy to go to that school, but there's got to be something with, does he know how to win?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does he know how to,
Can you play
whatever.
towards that result? You may not reach it. You may not get the result every time, but hey, this kid can produce the things that are necessary to get the results we want. And that's the goal, because you have a flaw. And last thing here, just to kind of put a cherry on this, because we're looking at, you talk about elementary, middle school. Now, Father McGivney, I know there's no recruiting, but in that respect, but you get kids that are different from different. A normal high school, you're only getting kids from
Wherever
that
you
live in your district.
Yeah.
So how do you develop a philosophy whereas a college recruiter is looking to recruit a kid because he's got speed? We play baseball this way. And again, you've got a team of kids at 8U, 9U, 10U, 11U. I asked these kids, where are you guys going to play baseball? I'm going to Francis Howell. Oh, can you bunt?
Yeah.
You ask a 12, 13-year-old, can you bunt? And you're going to Francis Howell?
Should probably learn pretty quickly if you don't.
Really
Very quickly, right? Yeah.
And I mean, there's just things in philosophy, and you hear these kids, and I know these coaches now. I've gotten to know them. I really enjoy that part of it. And looking at these kids that tell me where they're going to high school, and I'm like, ooh, good, okay.
My favorite practice of the year, my favorite one, is the first time we run bunt defense. It's the first time because we run everybody together. I run it the way I run practices, and it's just unique to maybe what we do. But we have everybody. I don't separate and send the freshmen here and the JV there and the varsity here. We bring everybody together and we run because you don't have many of them in the season. Let's be honest. You're playing too many games in too short period of time. Bring everybody together, and we run bunt defense, which nobody does in summer, right?
Yeah, I have not seen one team the whole summer called out a bunt defense.
Right, nobody. And if you did, it's going to be chaotic because you're going to have different guys from different schools on how do you run this bunt defense, how do you run this, which is why, safety or suicide squeezes in summer are like brilliant, right? Because nobody knows what to do, okay? And so it's unbelievably
It's a Chinese
brilliant.
fire drill.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I love watching that because we do it really early just so we can kind of almost prove a point.
Yeah.
So we run it, and I don't say a word. Hey, we're going to run bunt defense. We're going to run just a normal. We're going to get the guy out of first base. Let's see what we do. Go. No instructions, and it is a disaster. I mean, it is like, and you look at it and you're like, the catchers are like calling stuff out or waiting to be told what to do. And you're like, okay, hold on, partner. You got to be the captain here. Like, you're the quarterback in this drill here. And they're like, huh? What? It's just, but it's comical. We sit there and I'm very fortunate. I got a guy that is our hitting coach at McGivney, right? He is the former hitting coach at Wichita State back in Gene Stevenson's era.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great guy, just really awesome dude. And so we get the biggest kick. Me and Coach Dorgan and Coach Stover are just sitting there watching the bunt defenses, and it's just funny. And it reminds us that it's not to make fun of the kids. It's not. It just reminds us how pure this game is, right? How it's fun, and you got to remember that it's a fun game. It's a really cool, fun game that is not without direction is chaotic, right? And so then we get into how we're going to do it, how we're going to handle it. Then we get pretty good at it, but. At the first, it's funny. We always find it's the first thing we do when we run our stuff. We run bunt defenses, and it's like putting ice skates on people for the first time, and they're all running into each other. Balls are flying everywhere. Guys are running around the bases all over the place, and you go, "We're not going to be good this year."
Well, it is cool. It's cool, like the Francis Howell thing, right? Like, hey, if you go to Francis Howell, you better learn how to bunt. Like, every program has its own unique things.
Yes.
And you have to be, like, for us, when I was in high school, we had these wristbands. And all these, like, our coach, he was crazy. The best guy I ever played for, he's an IHSA, BCA Hall of Famer. He was a little different and still has a ton of success coaching at Huntley. But he would hand us these wristbands. And he would say, I'm going to call out these numbers and follow along the wristbands. All right, cool. So he would like yell like 5, 5, 4, whatever. And then you'd have to sit there with the wristband and like 5, and 5 there. And I was like, dude, I'm playing baseball. I don't have to do math. And every time, like he'd call it out, I would mess it up. And a lot of other guys would mess it up. So like it got to a point. It got to a point to like where like in summer camp and practices, I was like, hey, give me the wristband. Like I need to memorize this and get this all down. But it's like unique things to all that makes the sport so incredible.
Yeah.
That's so right. And it's so fun because at the end of the day, you could probably say, steal second base.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they can't throw you out anyway. So it's
Yeah.
The catch was like, is he really going to go?
It's like this fake out, right? Catcher doesn't throw it. Guy walks in and you're like, you're brilliant.
And the other
Since
coach is
that
looking,
day-
why didn't you throw the baseball?
Since that day, I'm anti-wristband. Anybody that uses wristbands, I'm out. I can't figure out 5-5-4. Where am I supposed to go? I'm going down to the right, up 3. Like, what's going on, man? Can you just tap your arm and tell me what I have to do?
Yeah.
I love it.
You
That is
couldn't
awesome.
remember that either. That's what
Oh,
the coach
my
is thinking.
No, I love it.
Oh,
That
man.
is fantastic.
Guys, fun conversation. I enjoyed that. Great. Coach, appreciate you taking the time.
No, thank you. This is a great day.
Yeah,
Talking baseball, and I love it. Thank you for having me.
absolutely. You got to come back and see us.
Sure, anytime.
Absolutely. Folks, thanks for tuning in. As always, the dog over
Legend.
here. He's got some dog.
Stop. I can't have that publicized, please.
It's too late. It's already going to be on the podcast. It wasn't my fault. Diego Solares. Diego, always
Good work.
appreciate it. We got some good stuff coming up. Make sure you're subscribed. Please support the channel. We appreciate it. Hit the dinger next to it. It's not a home run, but it is notifications for upcoming episodes just like this. It'll get you some notifications for when we go live for some baseball this weekend. We appreciate you tuning in. And everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers,
Throw strikes.
it's a simple game.
It is a simple game.
And as Willie Keeler once said, I learned that the other day,
That's what I heard.
hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.